Hi guys, my name's Inez.
And I'm Helen. So we have just finished our degree in exercise physiology at Sydney University. We've been
Personal trainers, coaches for about 5+ years, so we've got a little bit of experience with us, but not massive.
Nah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
So today we wanted to talk to you about body image. Let's define body image first.
Yeah.
So body image is your own perception of the way that you look and your own sexual attractiveness. And I guess we want to talk about how it's socially constructed, right? Yeah. So what the masses and the majority of people consider beautiful and sexually attractive is what's going to sort of flow and impact everyone's ideas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when we go on social media and look on magazines, these are all sort of influences that we get of what beauty is or should be. Yeah.
Yeah, and they infiltrate our mind and make us want to look like that when we look in the reflection too, and then we get down on ourselves when we don't look a specific way.
Yeah.
And so I think what's really important to realize is that body image is your perception of what you see when you look at yourself or when you look at yourself in the mirror. And so much of the time it's easy to just take on board what you see in society or what you see on social media and be like, why don't I look like that? But what we really want to drill into you is that the way that you look at yourself is completely in your hands. Like, you have the power to change how you look and how you,
That's right.
what you see.
Yeah, so think for yourself, guys. Like, you get to define it and you get to think for yourself for what beauty and what you think sexy is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Own it.
Okay. And, yeah, so I guess...
I think, like, body image comes out of the need to feel accepted, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I think, like, for a lot of us, like, growing up, especially as, like, teenage girls, we want to, we don't really know, like, who we want to be, and we have, like, all these thoughts growing up, whatever, and we just, think that we need to look a certain way to be accepted. Like, I know for myself, at school, I thought I had to be skinny, I had to be a certain weight in order to be liked by other people. I don't know, did you feel like that as well?
Yeah, like, for myself, I was born in Sydney and my parents migrated from Korea, so at home I had to be Korean and outside I was Australian, and I was super confused because I was trying to mold myself to both worlds, and I guess that became a habit because I was like, oh, I'm going to mold myself to sort of be accepted.
Yeah.
Because it feels nice to be accepted, right?
Definitely.
And so
Yeah.
I guess you get to a point where you have to stop and realize that, you can't keep molding yourself because you need to figure out who you are and you need to figure out your values that you want to stick to.
Definitely. I think the first step is becoming really aware of why you're trying to look a certain way, or why you're, like, looking at yourself and being like, oh, like, I'm ugly or I'm fat or whatever. So becoming aware and then realizing that, like, what you are chasing or what you want to look like is maybe a superficial idea or something that's been, like, infiltrated into your mind by what you're always surrounded by. And so in order to get really clear on what you actually want, because no one just wants to get a 6-pack of abs but feel like shit on the inside. Like, realistically, you want to use your training and nutrition so that you not only look good but you also feel good, like, from your very core. And the only way that you can make sure that your actions are going to make you feel good from the core is to figure out what your values are.
That's right.
So
So it's really important to know what your values are. So I think for everyone it's important to be healthy, right? And
live forever.
Yeah, live forever, live a long and healthy life.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I guess not just with body image, or with training, but in life, it's really important to figure out your values, because your behaviors and your habits will and should be aligned to your values. And so what you adopt on a day-to-day basis, your habits, those build character. I feel like we live in a very transient society, meaning like we
We just chop and change all the time.
Yeah, like we do what's best for us, and that's not a bad thing. Like we have a lot of options, which is great, but we choose that at the expense of loyalty and staying with something and committing to it. And I guess what we're trying to say is that it's important to have your values lined up with what you're doing and to prioritize that.
Yeah, so that every time that you do look at yourself and you see your reflection, you're like, damn. Yeah. You're like, fuck, like I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm not just trying to like, chase some good rig, or not just trying to have like a juicy butt. I'm doing things that are really good for me in the long run, and I'm not just doing it so that I'm accepted by other people, and I'm not just doing it so that I'm like, sexually attractive. I'm doing it for me, and like that's going to help you to grow and to feel like strong and like inside and out, and that's what you really want.
Yeah, and let's talk about goals, because I think they need to be realistic. If you're saying I want to look like Kylie Jenner, or I want to have like Kim Kardashian's bum, or something like that.
Arms.
Yeah, something like it's like that's not realistic, because
that's them.
That's their body.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it sounds so obvious. And like intuitively we know, but it's like we like froth on like these goals that
put up on a pedestal by society. I think especially when we are like kind of teenagers or young adults, like we really want to make sure everything we do is going to be accepted, and one way to do that is to like conform to what everyone, like the masses are like leaning towards. Yeah. But like you don't have to look like that. I think figuring out who you are and being authentic to yourself is what's going to attract the right kind of people. And if you're like scared of being rejected by a group of friends because you don't look a certain way, then they're not the kind of friends or the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. So.
That's right. Yeah, you'd always want to be surrounding yourself with people who bring out the best in you. And like a lot of what we're saying is very intuitively obvious, I guess, but I guess that's what we wanted to talk about. We want to talk about the things that might seem so obvious, but we don't really necessarily act out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yes, it's all well and good to be like, yeah, of course I can't look like Kylie Jenner, but like, do you actually know that? Like, when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, fuck, like, why don't I have abs like that? Like, that's fine. Like, you do you, girl. Like, you don't have to look a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So we want to encourage you all to think for yourselves and encourage you all to move. We both started from somewhere, yoga, and both were running on the treadmill.
And exercise hasn't always been a tool to make us feel empowered, but through strength training, we've realized that we're capable of a lot more and like we're not just defined by what we look like on a superficial level. And so next week, we're going to talk more in depth into how we've used strength training to help us feel like good from the inside out.
Yeah. Stay tuned.